Welcome back, Cyberpunks. We've got another build for you guys based on a popular character. This time, another character from Overwatch. We had to do the cyber ninja Genji, of course. Genji fits into this world amazingly well because of his cybernetics and ninja skills. The samurai blade is also very awesome. Genji is known for being fast and deadly, and he's a ninja, so we're also going to assume that he's silent because that also works into this build as well. So think of this as a cyber ninja, somebody who can sneak in, uses a blade for the majority of their damage, gets critical hits very quickly, can jump between enemies very fast, gets in and gets out. So you set up a situation through stealth, you knock out your enemies very quickly with your blade, and then you get out. That's the way this build works. And surprise, this is the part of the video where I'm like, hey, do the YouTube stuff, follow the channel. You want to come back for more stuff, right? So let's get into the details here. We're going to start out with 20 points in body, 20 points in reflexes, and 20 points in cool. So for reflexes, we are going to focus solely on blades with 20 points in blades, and we are going to pick everything. This is very important because Genji's main and basically only weapons are blades. Now, this doesn't include the ability to throw knives in this section, but this is focused on his use of his katana. So we have here things like strong attacks with blades deal 50% more damage, increase attack speed with blades by 30% so you can get in and chop them up real good. Combos with blades have a 30% chance to apply bleeding. Of course, bleeding isn't really a thing in Overwatch, but for this build, it's going to add more DPS, more damage. And the way that I want you to think about using blades is to sneak in, get very close to an enemy, initiate your attack with a heavy attack to the head, and if that doesn't kill your enemy, you can follow up with a flurry of other hits. And if you have to bounce between multiple enemies and you only get a few hits on each enemy in order to keep them busy in the middle of combat, the bleed will add to the damage while you're not hitting them. So you may actually knock out enemies even if you're only hitting them a few times if they tank some of that damage. So most of our focus here is on those skills. Also, the ability to recover stamina is important so that you can continue hitting your enemies as fast as possible. Then we have cool. Cool is primarily a focus on stealth here, and stealth in order to sneak in, to get in position before you pounce on your enemies, to be able to do non-lethal takedowns, to kind of jump down on them, to be able to do more crit damage while sneaking, all of those kinds of things. But the other thing here is the ability to throw knives. As we know, in Overwatch, Genji throws shuriken. Is that the way you pronounce it? And although we don't have those in Cyberpunk, we do have the ability to throw knives. And I'll show you with some of the testing I've done here. The knife throwing in Cyberpunk leaves something to be wanted. Now, basically, knives are very rare. You can find them on certain vendors and on certain enemies, but you don't actually collect very many of them. You can use them as a primary weapon, which is kind of odd. On top of that, you can throw them with this build. They can apply poison, again, more DPS over time, but once you throw the knife, it disappears. It's gone. You can't actually pick it back up. I went to this vendor and I bought a legendary knife, threw it into the head of a cop in order to test this out, and the knife just disappears. It goes away. And I tested this over and over again. It doesn't matter if you throw it against the ground, against an object, against another person, you can't pick the knife back up. So what's the point of getting a legendary knife and then throwing it away just for a single hit? It doesn't seem to make sense. I would recommend, if CD Projekt Red is listening, that you guys give us the ability to pick the knives back up. And also, I think that the better way to do this would be to include them as a secondary weapon. Just either slot them as a primary, if that's the way you want to use them. But if you have something like your katana equipped, then you should be able to use your blades that you can throw, the knives, as a secondary item, and maybe even have a collection of them, like multiple in one slot, and then you go pick them back up. I don't know how hard that is to implement in the game, but I think that would make this build way more viable. Now, notice also in this build that you can slide over here and the rest of the items over here on the side. As with all of these builds, make sure you look below the video for the link to all the details on this. Now, that's not all though, because we're also going to put 20 points into body for athletics. So the reason that we need to do this is in order to make sure that we're a little bit more survivable, but the majority of this is focused on our stamina. Increasing max stamina by 30%, reducing fall damage so you can jump down from higher locations on your enemies. Dodging does not drain stamina, so you can dance around your enemies. Sprinting does not drain stamina, so you can sprint up on your enemies very quickly like Genji would do. And then enemies can't knock you down, increased armor, and reduce all incoming damage by 10%. Again, adds to your survivability. Now, in order to hit the 81 perk points that we need to get in order to make this build work, you're probably going to have to do some breaching to increase this skill up a little bit to unlock some more extra perks. And then in technical abilities, you're going to have to do a lot of crafting in order to unlock the rest of those points. Now, with any of these builds, do note that the earlier unlocks are less effective than the later unlocks. So if you have to pick and choose, especially while you're leveling and collecting more perk points, try to go for the bigger unlocks first if you can get to them. If not, that's okay. You gotta take what you gotta take while you're leveling, but go with that. That's going to get you started. The other thing that you want to consider when creating a Genji build is the use of Cyberware. There are leg implants you can use to increase your ability to jump over things, to double jump in the air. Those kinds of things are also effective. You could also go mantis blades and use the mantis blades as your primary weapon. Of course, that doesn't look like Genji specifically, but it plays into the build very well because you can come right in on your enemies, chop them up with your mantis blades, and do the things that Genji would do otherwise. So that's the build for today. I hope you guys are enjoying these. Please remember to follow the channel for more updates like this. I have a number of builds out there already, 3 of them for Overwatch characters, and I will be continuing to make more content for Cyberpunk. And of course, check out the Cyberpunk Lorecast. It's available everywhere on this channel, everywhere else. Hope you guys have a good day. Talk to you guys later.